Hi guys, this is Eric again. Welcome to our March 2009 newsletter. What we're going to cover this month, we're going to talk about if you have a retail operation like at a flea market or at a horse show or a fair. You guys have all seen my Oatman operation and kind of how that's set up. So we didn't film, we're not filming up in Oatman, we're doing it here in our little studio. So I'm going to use a few little props and things to kind of show you some illustrations of how you can have maybe a better opportunity for sales. First thing is, number one, more than anything else, you got to have fun. Just have fun. Be yourself. Give it your own personality, and just don't stress too much. Once you become comfortable with yourself and your carving, and you want to go out, then just go out, meet people, have fun, and show them what you do. Now, this might not be for you as far as going out and meeting people and doing that. If you're not a people person, if you really don't like people and you don't want to deal with them and you don't want to talk to them, yeah, maybe you ought to just stay with the dealer business or the internet sales or some other way of sales rather than direct sales to people. I've been doing this all my life, and fortunately I had a terrific example to follow. And I love people. I love going out, carving signs, and handing those signs to them and seeing the looks on their faces. I love it. I absolutely love it. I really, really enjoy it. And I get to meet people from all over the world up in Oatman and just have a great time. So, my number one rule is have fun. Just enjoy it. If you like people, and this business is supposed to be fun, we do it because it's fun. We do get to make money at it too. Alright. Hi guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. Again, we're not a super big studio production here. The phone rang and we had a customer we had to talk to, had some questions and stuff. So anyway, I'm back. So what I was talking about basically is you want to just be yourself. Have fun with this thing. And we're in business because this is something that we love to do. And I love to do it as much today as I did the first time that I had that router in my hand. So just understand, just have a good time with it, and the more fun that you have, the more fun your customers are going to have. And trust me, you're going to have a lot of fun. It is a blast. Speaking of fun, I hope you're enjoying these newsletters because we're sure having a blast doing them for you. So now what I'm going to go over are just some little tips and things that I've learned over the years. Now these aren't absolutes, these are just suggestions, things that I've found out for me that have worked. Number one on the list is, like I said, is have fun, have a good time with it. So now what we're going to do is move on to appearance. What you're going to want to do is kind of pay attention to what you're wearing. Don't get all dolled up. I generally wear a t-shirt that kind of has Oatman on it, or Laughlin Run, or whatever. So just be comfortable. The more comfortable you are, the more comfortable they're going to be. The second thing that it was kind of weird how I found this out is that I found that I always want to be wearing a hat when I'm carving. A couple different reasons. The first reason I found out is I found out without a hat, because of my haircut, for some reason, some people were kind of either standoffish, or I don't know, some people maybe they just didn't like bald people. I don't know what it was. But what I found is that when I wore a hat, I got a little bit better reception than when I wasn't wearing a hat. So that's number one. If you happen to have a haircut like mine, if God blessed you with showing the skin on your head, then what you might want to do is wear a hat. That's the number one reason for wearing a hat. The number two reason for wearing a hat is that when you're carving, and I'm just going to use some illustrations, guys, that say I'm sitting at my bench and I'm carving, and this is, consider this being a full router, but I'm just using the illustration again. When I'm carving and I've got a hat on, what I can do is I can lower my hat so that I can see people approaching me, and I can do my carving, and I can see when there's people there, but we're not necessarily making eye contact. One of the things that I found is that some people will be, they'll be kind of put off, or you'll drive them away if you make eye contact with them too soon. Now some people, they don't have a problem with that. But some people, they may be a little standoffish. Maybe they didn't come clear up to the bench. They've sat back a little bit. That just simply tells me that maybe they want to see what I'm doing, or they want to see the signs, but they don't necessarily want to be sold. And they have that sales deal and that little awkward moment. So you want to soft sell these people, what I call soft sell. So by having a hat, either this hat, or I found actually in Oatman, the cowboy hat actually fits right in with the motif. It works a little bit better for me. So what I do is that when I'm carving, I'm actually looking at my carving, and I'm carving, and I can see them approach, but we're not necessarily making eye contact. So I have my hat in such a position to where I know they're there, so that I can choose when I do want to look up and make eye contact. I want to do business with someone that they feel somewhat comfortable with their appearance. Okay, so we'll move on from here. We'll shut it off here, and we'll move on to the next part. Hi guys, I'm back. Okay, so we've gone over pretty much everything on the body language, just a couple more little things. The biggest one is how close that they actually come to your booth. If they come past your sign display and they're not really looking at the signs and they're watching what you're doing, chances are they're not necessarily a buyer of signs, at least at this point. So if they're just watching you carve, generally it's going to be guys, and they're just interested in watching you carve, you want just acknowledge them and just say, hey, are you just watching, or did you have some questions? And they'll say, oh, we're just watching. Just say, no problem at all. You watch as long as you want to. If you have any questions about what I'm doing, stop and let me know. I suggest, guys, answer their questions. Even if you're not going to get a sale out of it, the more you become friends with them, or at least acknowledge that they have some interest in what you're doing. I learned from my dad, just help people out. The more you help people out, if they ever want a sign, they're going to come to you, whether you sell it to them today or not. Okay, so that was the last thing really on body language. The next thing that I want to cover, and this is really, really, really important, keep the router running. Okay, no matter what happens, you need that router running. When that router is running, you're making money. Bottom line. Okay. Now I do a little sign that when I don't have orders to do, I'm either practicing or I'm making little stock signs like this, real popular with the bikers. So I don't know if you can read that. I'm hoping you can. Just, we're a drinking club with a motorcycle problem. Anyway, if you can make little stock signs, you can fill in with that. But you must keep the router running. The biggest mistake I've seen sign carvers make is they go out, they set up, and then they just sit there and wait for an order. Huge mistake, guys. Huge. Keep the router running. Number one deal when you're set up. Keep that router running. I also make a little Route 66 sign because we're on Highway 60, Route 66. So I don't care if you just get a blank board and you lay out a bunch of letters on it and you're just practicing. Keep the router running, whether you have orders or not. Okay? Very, very important. You will lose business if you don't. Okay? So that's very, very big. So we'll move on. Okay, guys, I'm back. Well, you know what? We're just about out of time. One thing I do want to mention, when I talked about keeping the router running, keep the router running if you're not taking an order or if you're not laying out a sign. Now, up in my Oatman operation, it's generally just me. Sometimes I have someone there helping me lay out a sign, and so that I do keep the router running and have layout going too. But generally, if it's just you, keep that router running as much as you can. Unless you're taking an order, unless you're laying out a sign, keep the router running as much as you can. So plan on that. All right, guys. Well, we're out of time. We're kind of at our time limit. So thanks for watching, and tune in next month. We got some more great stuff coming for you. Have a great one.